Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So let's begin our session with a wonderful quote. Crafting a lasting first impression is an art of authenticity, where your genuine smile, sincere words, and attentive presence becomes the brush stroke that paint a portrait of connection and trust in the mind of others. Good greetings of the day. Good evening, everyone. I, Lakshmi, being your host for today's international webinar on the topic How to Create First Impressions, extends my warm greetings and a very good evening to all of you present here. First impressions are sculpted by a genuine smile, confident posture, and attentive listening. Speak with sincerity, radiate positivity, and engage with genuine curiosity. The canvas of a memorable first impressions is painted with authenticity and respect, leaving a lasting imprint on the tapestry of relationship. Talking about SEMS Welfare Foundation, we are a Section 8 not for profit company registered under the Companies Act 2013 with various recognition from Niti Aayog, MSME, MP-CON, DDU-GKY, and more. Recognized as a startup by DIPP, MCI, and awarded Best Service Award for National Contribution. SEMS Group, with an active network of 5,000 plus professionals, published book and an international journal, organized education and health campus for underprivileged children, promoted digital and financial literacy, and contributed to society. Our initiative Digi Saksham has developed content for 300 plus courses in IT, BFSI, retail, entrepreneurship, impacting diverse age group. We have executed a skilling project for 600 inmates, signed MOU for training, collaborated with various organizations, and conducted international conferences. FEM leads another SEMS initiative empowers women through workshop and newsletter, conducting awareness programs in digital literacy, marketing, and career development across different industries. We have impacted over 1,000 women across states and recently celebrated a milestone of 100 women associated with the program. On behalf of whole SEMS family, I welcome you all for today's international webinar on how to create first impressions. And to add to our guest of honor, today's speaker is Ms. Suvita Muthu. It is a great honor to have you with us, ma'am. We are grateful for our presence here with us today. Suvita is a certified and experienced personality development coach with a passion for helping individuals thrive in both personal and professional sphere. She is a she is a founder and chief trainer in Skill Art Training Studio, public speaking instructor in KAFQA Bengaluru, also a communication and business coach in Delhi government.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for this amazing introduction.
Thank you, ma'am.
You've covered everything that has to be covered. So, hello everyone. Good evening, and I welcome you all for this amazing 1 hour webinar that we're going to have on how do you create first impressions. So, we have the poll in front of us. So, this poll says, "What did you observe about me?" So your me refers to your trainer, that is, I am your trainer. So I want you all to let me share the results with you. See, I have got a mix of answers. The question was, what did you observe about me? Some thought I'm a jolly person. Some thought I'm a disciplined one. Some thought I'm an expert. Some thought I'm an enthusiast. So there is some or the other thing that you have thought about me in first 10 seconds, 20 seconds, not more than that have come on the screen. And when you observe so many things in just seconds, that is what we talk first impressions about. So now there will be two pictures in front of you, and I want you to first see the pictures and then answer on the poll that which one would you prefer, which salad which would you prefer. So is it this one? This is salad 1, or it's this one, this is salad 2. Okay, I think we have got our answers. Thank you very much. So, like we have got the answers, I have understood. See, now you decide for food also, right? You do decide for food also. Just by looking at it, you decide which one do you want to eat. Now, consider this. Food is your most necessary thing. And even for eating, you first see it visually, you eat it visually, you think about it in mind, and only then you decide which one do you want to eat, which one are you feeling to eat. Might be anyone, but it's about a simple and basic necessity, that is food. Now imagine when you do not give a chance to this most basic requirement, why will anyone in the world give you chance if you don't appeal to them visually? If you're not visually attractive, if you don't look presentable, why would anybody give you chance? Think about it. What all can we convey just by having the right image? When you have seen me, some people thought I'm a jolly person. Some people thought that I am a disciplined person. Some thought I'm authoritative. Some thought I am. So we had so many options. Some thought I'm an expert. So you had decided because of my image, the image that I have portrayed. So the right image will always help you show that you are a stable person, or you are accessible, or credible, or capable, and a lot more things like responsive, to be formal, to be not be formal, to be agreeable, to be relaxed, to be cooperative. So your image give you hundreds of things. Now tell me, do you notice these things in people? Do you notice if the person is wearing a footwear, what kind of footwear it is it clean or not? Is his nails clean or not? Is the hair neat? Is she dressed properly? Or is he dressed stylish? Or is he trendy? Is he fashionable? Is the person using the right accessories? Whether the person uses a perfume or not, or is it sweaty, or what kind of that person is? We do notice these things, right? Whether the person, how does that person introduce themselves? Is he listening to us? Or is it just he's talking to us? What exactly it is? So when there are so many things that we observe in people, why do you think people will spare us and they will not observe these things about us? If we check all of these things with people, why will people not think those things about us? It's very obvious, right? If we observe, people will also observe. And that's why science has done a lot of research on people, asking for first impressions of how first impressions are important, how much they are important, how are they created. There's a lot of research done on first impressions. So when they say 95% of people believe that first impressions are very, very important. So when this research was done on 200 people, out of 200 people, 198, 210 people, out of 210 people, 198 people thought that first impressions are very important. And only 11%, that is only 5% of people, they thought that, okay, it's not important. Similarly, 61% of people believe they can instantly spot a phony the minute they meet him or her. Any person you meet, it's that easy. 79% of people believe they usually or always make a good first impression. What do you think? How much first impressions are important? Just put a percentage out of 100. Okay. So, yeah, most of the people think that it's more than 75% is what we have understood. So,
Yes.
first impressions are really important. Why they are important? Because you don't get a second chance to create the first impression. And even if you get a first impression, even if you get a second chance, what happens is you have a certain perspective about the person. You have already created an impression. If it's good, it will help you. If it's not good, you have to work on it. And then it's very difficult to change your first impressions. Now, coming back to our statistics, where I say 79% of people believe they usually or always make a good first impression. Please put in chat box, what do you think? What kind of impression do you create? Is it a good or a bad or a okay one? What do you think? I want you to put your answers in the chat box. Okay, so we still have mixed responses. Some people think they can, some people think they can't. But then when you say that you cannot create a good impression, why? Do you know the reason of why you can't create a good first impression? What is the reason behind it? There is something that is lacking when you're having a conversation, or when you're meeting someone for the first time, and you need to understand that what it is. That is a very important thing. Some people, when we say in statistics, 68% believe that first impressions of others are accurate. When we look at someone and we think, okay, this person might be arrogant, this person might be very lovable, this person is very polite, just by looking at the person, just the vibe that you get from the person. And yeah, most of the times we are right. We are right about what the other person is saying, what we have thought about the other person. And that's how 68% of people believe that first impressions of others are accurate, what they've thought. 44% of people say the first thing they notice are the eyes when meet someone. So every person has a way of finding some or the other thing. Few people look at eyes, few people look at shoes, few people look at the dressing. So you never know. And that is the reason we always say, if you are going somewhere and the place is really important, like an interview, it's an important place. That is somewhere where you're going to get a job. So you need to impress the other person. You need to create a good first impression. And there you should not take a chance, because you do not know what the other person is going to look into you. Now, what do you think? How much time does it take to create a first impression? I want your answers in the chat box.
Just one
And
second, just
yes,
one look.
yes, it's actually what the statistics also says the same thing. 40% of people says it takes only 7 seconds to make the first impression. And it's true that we only in split seconds, and only from 7 to 10 seconds you create a first impression about someone. So you don't need a minute also, and you don't need half an hour to create an impression. Will Rogers has said, you will never get a second chance to make a first impression. So that is the reason you need to be very aware of your first impression when you are in a situation which is important. Like we've spoken about, in a few seconds, people decide everything about your personality. What kind of person you are you, what kind of authority do you have, are you intelligent, are you financially stable, are you trustworthy? We do think about all of these things just by looking at a person. If we are going somewhere and on just you passing by and you need help, there are hundreds of people in front of you. You will choose one out of them just by looking at them. Okay, so this person looks trustworthy. This person looks helpful. This person can help me. This person cannot help. So you are deciding these things. How? By the help of visual cues, the energy you get from the person, the vibe that you get from the person, the personality, the body language, their intention, their impact that they create on others, the trustworthiness that we feel. So these are the elements of first impressions. These are how you actually see what you see. Now, there's one question which is very, very important, and which is very important to understand: what are impressions, what are first impressions, and there is something, a term called lasting impressions. So we need to understand that what are first impressions and what are lasting impressions. When we just create an idea, an opinion about someone without thinking about anything, that is just in first seconds, that is when your first impression is created, and that is when you create a mental image about that person. That takes only 4 seconds to 7 seconds, and not more than that. But if you are speaking to someone, or if you're interacting with that person verbally, non-verbally, for a long period of time, then 4 minutes are more than enough to create a lasting impression. And what is a lasting impression? How is it different from your first impression? Lasting impression is something which is confirmed. So it actually confirms your first impression and it stays in your mind for a long period of time. How are first impressions formed? You project an image based on which people form your first impression. The way you look, the way you show yourselves, the first impressions are formed. I want you to put your thoughts in chat box. If you want to unmute yourself and speak, I want your thoughts on this video of what did you understand.
One has replied in chat box. It says, this really applies a strong message of humanity.
Okay.
Then everyone is judged by their appearance and treated accordingly.
Right. Yes, that's right. Who has said this? Lakshmi?
Which one, ma'am?
The
The
second
second one,
Yes.
it's Vijaya Kalyani.
Okay, so Vijaya very rightly said, even if we don't like it, people judge us on your appearance. People do judge you on your appearance, even if you don't like it. So that is not in your hand, but yes, that is the truth, and that is what is happening. And that is the reason your first impressions are very, very important. It is what it has mentioned here, the cause and effect. People form the impression, but they form the impression which they form the impression only what is being shown to them. The way you are dressed, the way you appear to them, only according to that they make an impression about you. So what are the elements of first impression? We have clothing, grooming, vocal communication, body language, and etiquette. So when we talk about clothing, that is your appearance. the clothes you wear. Like the girl in the video, she was judged just by on her appearance. First, she was dressed very nicely. People treated her very nicely, and then later on, because they actually dressed her like a very poor girl and with a lot of dirt on her face, people did not even think about her. They did not even want to go to her. But the girl is the same one. The people who thought she's cute, she is the same cute girl who was now not dressed properly. But that is how it is. Even if you don't like it, you do judge a book by its cover. So, clothing is an important aspect when you talk about first impressions. Secondly, is grooming. Her hair, when we saw her hair first time was different, second time it was different, second time it was a little messy. So all these aspects come under your elements of first impression. That is what people think about. And because only your visual cues gives a message, you don't even get to open your mouth. You don't even get a chance to speak. Because the way you appear to the other person, only according to that the other person is going to give you the chance. And here the other person is not ready to give you a chance just by your visual cues. And hence, grooming is another very important aspect of your first impression. Third is your vocal and verbal communication. Now, when we talk about vocal and verbal communication, only this comes when you get a chance to do it. If you don't have a chance to speak, if you don't get a chance to speak from the other person, it's of no use. And then comes your body language and etiquette. So body language is still, you can present yourself, you can still give visual cues through body language, but vocal communication you cannot. Now, the most important thing that I would like to share with you is what is communication made up of, and what is the most important part of communication. Communication is made up of body language, that is your visual, vocal, and verbal. 55% of your body, 55% of your communication is body language. 38% is your vocal communication, and only 7% is what you say. The words that you use, the verbal communication is only 7% out of your entire communication. This research only took into account facial expressions. So, if you keep all your visual elements, that is clothes, grooming, body language, including etiquette, your visual communication may rise up to 80% or higher. So, out of your entire communication, your visual communication has the most weightage. It's 80% of your entire communication. Now, imagine 83% of your message is visual. Then, how can you not communicate? Even if you don't speak, you are communicating to the other person in some or the other way. It's your body language which is speaking, it's your clothes that is speaking, or even if it's your facial expressions, it's your grooming, the way you have kept yourself, it's your etiquette. There are a lot of things apart from the words that you speak. So it's impossible for you to not communicate anywhere. Now, think about it. We remember what we see, but we forget what we hear. Whatever we see, we remember it more than what we hear, because the basic nature of human memory is photographic. Why these first impressions are instant? Because they are subconscious body language interpretations. It does not happen immediately. It does not happen consciously. It happens subconsciously. Before invention of language, humans survived by only and only by their body language. That is your facial expressions, your gestures, your postures, your movements, everything. And that is the reason these interpretations or first impressions made the difference between life and death. Now, do we agree that with all the understanding of first impressions, we know the power of appearance, soft skills, and first impressions? Yes, no? Do we know the power of first impressions
Perfectly.
and the appearance?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now we are coming to the end of the session. Before that, I would like to answer all the questions that you have. So now is the time you can ask me any questions related to your first impressions, your appearance, and anything that you feel that is not covered. Lakshmi, you can take over. You can take the questions. I'm free to answer all the questions.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. And what a nice session you had actually given us. So, ma'am, what a nice session you had given us. I hope our audience learned many new things from this session. So, I would like to highlight some of the points like positive body language, which means maintaining a confident posture, making eye contact, and offer a firm handshake. These nonverbal cues convey assurance and openness. Authenticity in communication. Speak genuinely and express interest in others. Authenticity fosters a sense of trust and connection, making your interaction more memorable. Then we have to dress appropriately. So, our attire sets a visual tone. Dressing appropriately for the occasion demonstrates professionalism and consideration for others. Active listening, pay close attention to what others are saying. Nod in agreement and ask thoughtful questions. Active listening shows respect and makes people feel valued, contributing to a favorable first impression. So, ma'am, there are few questions which our audience wants to be answered. So, with your permission, shall we proceed?
Yes, please.
What is the law of first impression?
So, when can you elaborate the question? So, if what is the law of first impression is a just a phrase that is asked. I need an elaborated question. So, whoever is asked, I would request you to give me an elaborated question of what exactly do you want to understand, because there are a lot of laws of first impression.
Okay. So, ma'am, something like, how we dress properly, then how do we communicate?
Okay, so as we have spoken about it already, when we speak elements of first impression include your clothing, your grooming, body language, your etiquette.
Yes.
So something which is seen,
Mm-hmm.
because you only when you see you decide if you want to speak to the other person or not.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're asking what are the elements, yes, your clothing has to be appropriate. So when I say appropriate, it means that it should be appropriate to the occasion. For example, if you are wearing a formal suit and going to a wedding, now here your dress is good, but it's not appropriate for the occasion.
Okay.
So, this is a thing that we need to understand. It's not only about dressing well, it's also about dressing according to the occasion. If
Okay.
you're going in a meeting and if you're wearing something very traditional, traditional as in something which has a lot of floral and a lot of colors, a very bright colors in a official meeting, your dress is very good, but it's not right for the occasion. That is one thing that we need to be very careful of. Same thing goes for your grooming, same thing goes for your body language. So if you are in a professional attire, you should know how your hair should be. If you are in a informal attire, you should know how your hair should be. Then your hair can be the way you want. Your
Okay.
shade of lipstick can be the way you want. The type of haircut for men, you can keep the way you want, but it depends on the occasion. You cannot put a bright red lipstick to a conference, but you can do it on a wedding or your friend's party. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. So actually, you have answered for the seen part. So, are there anything for the unseen part? Like all these are all the visible thing, right?
Yes, so the first impressions are usually created when you see the person. That is one. Second, if you say unseen, that is digital. So there comes your profile, your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your Instagram profile, if it's public. So then you should be aware of what kind of pictures are you posting there, what kind of content are you posting there. It's not only about your pictures, it's also about your content. Similarly for LinkedIn, what kind of profile do you have? Do you have all the information set right? Do you have a good professional picture over there? what kind of resume are you creating? How is your resume? Because your resume is first thing that goes to your interviewer. So your resume here creates first impression about you. When you share a resume with your interviewer, he has already created one mental image about you. Okay, this is you, and this is how you are going to be here. And only then he is asking you to come to the interview. So this is an unseen part of your I can say your first impressions. Apart from that, if you talk about unseen part, comes your written communication, that is your email writing, your messages, the tone that you use in your messages, and all of the written part of communication. So that can become your unseen part of your first impression. I hope I have
Okay.
answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for answering the question. So, the next question is, how does authenticity and communication contribute to the formation of a lasting first impression? And what strategies can individuals employ to convey sincerity in their interaction?
Okay, so can you repeat the first question, Lakshmi? There are two questions. I'll just go one by one. Can you repeat the first question?
Yes, ma'am. So, how does authenticity and communication contribute to the formation of the lasting first impression?
Okay, okay. So, how does your authenticity and communication? So, authenticity is one thing, communication is a second thing. Now, communication can be a truth or a lie. You can be truthful, you can be fake. Correct. When you're
Mhm.
faking it, it cannot be for a long period of time.
Mhm.
At one point, you will do something and you will stop faking. And when you stop faking, authenticity come in picture. Here, your integrity has gone down because the other person have understood that you faked it.
Mhm.
And now you are no more trustworthy, you're no more authentic to that person. So authentic is to be what you are, be real, and according to that you communicate. It's
Mhm.
okay if you are a kind of person who speaks a lot, so if you're trying to speak less, it's okay. But then if you are trying to show that you are a kind of person who is very different than what you are, there is something where your personality
Eh, Pak,
crash.
sukat ko ba, Pak?
There is where your personality clashes, and you cannot create a authentic first impression, then it cannot be lasting. So to have a lasting first impression, you have to be authentic and you have to have a good communication.
Oh, yeah, ma'am. And then what strategies can individuals employ to convey sincerity in their interaction?
Yeah. So to convey sincerity, again, have to be authentic. A. B. You can show it with your work. Your work also conveys your sincerity. Third thing is, if you can do something, say yes. If you cannot, say no. Because there, that is one thing which will actually show your sincerity. If you are being honest about, and if you can positively say no, if you can positively accept, okay, I cannot do this now, but I'll definitely do it later. If you can do that, yes, you are sincere. But then if you keep on taking the work and if you don't deliver it to the other person, that is where the gap comes, and that is not good for your impression.
Okay, yeah, thank you, ma'am, for answering the question. So, our next question is, what are the techniques which can be employed to demonstrate genuine interest and engagement in conversation?
Sorry, Lakshmi, I couldn't hear you. Can you please repeat?
Yes, yes. So, what techniques can be employed to demonstrate a genuine interest and engagement in conversation?
Okay, that's a very very interesting question. So when you are in a conversation and you want to show interest, you are interested. Okay, I understand that you are interested, but you are not able to show it to the other person. One thing, if you are in a conversation and you are listening, always sit straight. Don't lean a lot backwards. If you want to speak, lean forward. Second thing, do not touch your face when you are in a conversation with someone. Do not keep touching your face for some or the other thing unless it is really important. Third thing that you can do is when you are in a conversation and you want to make it interesting, mirror. Do what the other person is doing. If that person is smiling, you can smile. When you see the other person has not folded his hands, don't fold your hands. Try to replicate the emotions and the body language of the other person. This is what we call the mirroring effect. And this is something which helps you build rapport when you are in a conversation with someone. And the best and most effective way of creating rapport with the other person.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, for answering. And one last question is, do you have any guidelines which has to be followed, to ensure an appropriate dressing for various situation to create a positive impact?
Okay, so I have partly answered this question when I was speaking about dressing, I guess, in the first or second question.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
yes, and second thing is what there is nothing called the right dress, and there is nothing called if I tell you, okay, Lakshmi, from today onwards, you wear only formals. So, there is no right definition of a formal.
Okay.
It has to suit you also, and that is where an image consultant comes in a picture and they help you, they guide you with the right kind of work. So the sessions, when we take about appearance management, when we speak about appearance management, here there are different levels of dressing, there are different levels of formals, there are different levels of informals also. So when we are talking about these things, we have to be very careful about what we are doing, where we are going, and what we need to wear according to the occasion. The clothing should be appropriate, authentic to the occasion,
Okay.
and
So,
plus attractive.
okay, okay. So, ma'am, so you said formal, no? So in case if this question is from me actually. So,
No,
in case if we are going for an interview, right? So, interview for some, business, like if you are an MBA student, right? And like you're going for an interview. So, does a formal attire means an attire with a blazer, tie, and then pant and shirt?
no. I will ask you one more question, Lakshmi. Do you wear jeans and t-shirts?
Yes, 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 ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, let's just think that you don't wear. Okay.
Okay.
You've never worn a jeans and a t-shirt. Farhan, I'll come back to you. I see you raise your hands, and I think you have a question. I'll just come back to you once I answer this question. Okay. So, just think that you have not worn a jeans and a t-shirt in your life anywhere, anytime, and you're very uncomfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now when I tell you, okay, Lakshmi, now you have to wear formals. And for you, formals means a pant and a shirt. And if you're wearing that pant and a shirt, you're going to an interview, being uncomfortable. Do you think, will you be confident in the interview?
No.
No, right? But then your
No.
dressing is right according to what other people have told you.
Yes.
Because your dressing is right is what they think is right.
Okay.
Formals means you can have a collar. Now, collar can be in a kurta also. Collar can be in a blouse of a sari also. A blazer, a jacket can be worn on a sari also.
Okay.
And it can be worn on a kurta also.
Mm-hmm.
For men, we have a set of standards. Okay, they wear a shirt and a pant as formals. But for women, we have a lot of different sets. So we have to be very clear, and that is when we talk about appearance management, because appearance is very, very important. So if you ask me what do I wear, how what formal do I wear, I cannot tell you because I don't know what kind of clothes you wear. When can I tell you? When I go through your personality, when I understand your personal style, when I understand what kind of clothes you wear, when I understand what is your lifestyle, when I know how much do you spend on clothes, only then I can suggest you the right thing that you can buy for yourself. If a person who wears only Gucci and I will suggest him a Zara, he'll not be interested. And for a person who wears a normal, just doesn't like to spend a lot on clothes, and if I give them brands, okay, go buy from this brand, buy from that brand, they'll not come to me again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct. Exactly right. Yes.
So we cannot give a suggestion immediately that okay, you wear this, you wear that, unless I understand your personal style, your lifestyle, and what actually suits you and what actually doesn't suit you. What is your body shape? What is your face shape? Everything. I hope I have answered. And yeah, there was
Yes,
one
ma'am. Yeah.
person.
No, ma'am. Yeah, that's all from our end, ma'am. Yeah. So, thank you, ma'am, for answering these questions. Thank you all for attending today's webinar. And if you have any additional questions, you can contact us by email or telephone. We are happy to provide additional support to you. Please follow us on our social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel for new learning.